She's the founder of the African Heritage Foundation. They've got information around here. She has a school in Cameroon. And we were blessed to have her along with us at Detroit Impact to help bless our young folks this summer. She'll tell you a little bit more about herself, but would you put your hands together for Professor Anita Joe.
Mayega. Nangadaf. Mawini. Hodi. Habarigani. Abushini. Akwaba. I greet you in the various names of your ancestors. They're speaking to you through me. Hello and welcome. As he said, I am Professor Anita M. Joe. And I am here today because it is Juneteenth. It is our collective agreed upon celebration of the multiple manumission dates that have gone through these United States of America. As Mr. Martin said, there were some states that did not even free their slaves until well after 1863, which was the original proclamation. There were some states which were called borderline states. The state of Tennessee, the state of Kentucky, and Delaware. They had not ceded the Union. And if you go back and read through the Emancipation Proclamation, it was only utilized as a tool of war to destabilize the South and free the slaves in the southern states. In any of the states that did not cede the Union, they had the permission by the Emancipation Proclamation to continue to have their slaves. But we thank our ancestors and God today because for whatever reason, the other states like Kentucky, they celebrate August 8th. That is their homecoming. That is when Kentucky freed their slaves unofficially, but officially in December of 1865. But they've been celebrating it long before it became official. And I want to talk about these official dates. Juneteenth, the Emancipation Proclamation went out January 1, 1863. The difference between 1863 and 1865 is that they actually had to take the militia into the state of Texas and go to each planter and forcibly free those slaves. Also, the emancipation had another caveat that if in fact and indeed a planter would free his slaves, he would be paid $300 per slave, or formerly enslaved African. Also, and this is the part that was not carried out, that planter was also required to pay, or the government would pay that planter $100 for every slave to relocate. It's important to know our laws and the structure of our laws. And when you read the Emancipation Proclamation, it goes on to tell you that upon the manumission of said slaves, they were not permitted to remain in the United States of America. They had to either go south to Haiti or north to Nova Scotia. Many opted to stay. And as we understand and know about the sharecropping history, they were actually re-enslaved in the sharecropping system. But let's go to 2025. Why is it important for us to commemorate this day? It is important when we look at what is happening in the United States right now. The political climate is not nice to many brown and black people. We have the hope that things will get better because we're this program that things will get better. But I want to let you know, unlike the slaves that was entrenched in poverty, we today have options. We have options to stay or options to go. When I was a little girl, I had a vision. And this vision has grown up in my life. And I'm walking in the fulfillment of it. Without telling you the entire vision, I'll just give you the end of it. In this vision, I met up with many African kings from all over Africa. Many different type of ethnic groups. And the king that was seemed to be the greatest of them all, he asked me one question. And he said, "My daughter, what is your name?" And with much confidence, I said, "My name is Anita Marie." And he said, "No." He said, "You are the spirit of Africa. And you will be the bridge to connect the people from the diaspora into Africa and connect the Africans to the diaspora." I was 6 years old when I had that vision. I had no idea of how that would actually play out. But I stand before you today as that bridge, bringing those from Africa to give a symbolic apology for their role in the slave trade, because we have to go back to the beginning. So we've been free, we have celebrated, but now we have to make that connection. And I have a program called the Diaspora Reconnection Program. I launched this program the first time in 2016. I took a group of individuals to the countries of Ghana, Togo, and Benin. And God has blessed that I have another trip going this September to the same place, Ghana, Togo, and Benin. The reason why I chose these three countries is because one was colonized by the British and the others were colonized by the French. We're here. We have been called, and we accept the term black, that we have one experience, and that's slavery. But to demystify who and what we are, we must see multiple faces of Africa, because each and every one of our faces represent a different region from which we come. I have one individual here that's going to speak a little later and tell you how they can look at your face and say, "Oh yes, you're Hausa. Oh, you're Yoruba. You're Zulu." Because they understand the facial recognition. You can tell any African your name, and they can tell you what country you come from. They can tell you what family you come from by your name. These are clear identifying markers. And there's one other marker that I want to mention, and that is of music. I had the opportunity to meet a musicologist that was actually born in Ghana, and he studied music. And this is one of the things I learned about music and the dance, is that every people, every ethnic group has a different musical beat. And this man described to us how he can sit and he can listen to a composer like Michael Jackson, and he can say, "Oh yes, he came from the Akan tribe," or "He came from the Bassa people," or the Ebe. So there's many ways for us to identify who and and what we came from. So I offer to you today that opportunity to reconnect with your ancestors, to reconnect by getting a DNA test. It's important. Many people are afraid that if you take the DNA test, the government is going to get your DNA and they're going to do things like they did and they do and they will, like with Henrietta Lacks. But if you are 50 years or younger or older, they already got your DNA. They already have it. And whatever they're going to do with it, they probably already done it. So do not allow that fear of what they're going to do, because we know that they will. Not saying that I want to set you up to be a victim, but I want to set you on the path of your identity. Additionally, we must unite. We must open our hearts, our minds, and our bodies and our souls to our African brothers and sisters. And to our African brothers and sisters, they must open their minds, their hearts, their bodies, and their land. And the reason why I say that is because when we were taken from Africa, we were not just naked. We had land, we had animals, we had all the flowers and the fauna and the plants and the fruits and the vegetables. We had the rivers that was filled with all type of fish and everything. We lost everything. We lost many things. And in my endeavors to find my people, which are the Bassa people of Cameroon, when they recognized me as their daughter, the first thing they did was to give me a piece of land and tell me, welcome home. And it did not stop there. As I went from kingdom to kingdom announcing who I was, each kingdom, they gave me a piece of land. One piece of land I call Star of the Mountain. They gave me that land to build my school. I never had an idea to build a school. But when they said, here's the land for your school, I said, thank you, my ancestors, because immediately after that, we began to develop the curriculum for the New African Thought Youth Training Institute. So, in closing, I want to leave you with just a few words. Nina Kapinda. Nina Kapinda. Repeat that with me. Nina Kapinda. Nina Kapinda means I love you. Nina Kapinda, I love you. Nina Kapinda, I love you. Nina Kapinda, I love you. Kwaheri ya kukaona. Kwaheri ya kukaona. That means goodbye until we meet again. There's a reason why I start out with the African language and I end with the African language, because I'm speaking to you soul to soul. I had an experiment in Ohio. We were doing a Kwanzaa program, and it was put in my heart to not allow anyone to speak English or French on the program, and that the entire program had to be carried forth in an African language. And I had no idea of why it was put in my heart until a lady from Pular was singing a song where she was from Mauritania, and her ethnic group is Pular. And she was singing a song, and as she got into the middle of the song, everybody in the room just jumped up on their feet and began to clap their hands and dance in the aisles. And if I wasn't seeing correctly, I thought maybe I was at church, because everybody got happy and got into the aisle. And I'll tell you what's unique about that particular day. We had about 300 people in attendance. And I knew everybody there, and I knew it represented 13 African nations as well as the African American community. So I immediately assessed how many people actually knew what she was saying. And it was only her and her accompanist. And after she completed her song, I asked her, what was she singing about? And she said, brotherhood and unity. And that's what made me understand that when you speak your native language, you hear the voices of your ancestors, and it resonates in your soul. You may not comprehend it because your mind is trained with English, but when you speak African, it has a vibration and a resonation that you can't put your finger on, but you can feel it. Right. So I say unto you again, Kwaheri ya kukuona. Kwaheri ya kukuona. Goodbye until we meet again.
Amen.
Thank you, Professor. You're in for a treat in these two next guests.